Hi everyone, it's Robin and welcome back to Happy at Home. Today I have a sewing project to share with you. I have recently been on the lookout for some new pillowcases for my bedroom because I knew this winter I wanted to do a black and white theme, which is a little different than my normal theme in my bedroom. So I thought I would freshen things up with some new pillowcases. Well, I looked high and low and didn't find anything that I really liked. And I have been looking for 2 to 3 months now, and I finally this is getting ridiculous. So then I started looking for some fabric instead to make my own because pillowcases are so easy to make, it's ridiculous. If you have any sewing skills at all, you can make a pillowcase in like 5 to 10 minutes. So it's pretty easy. So I thought I'll just whip up a couple, pillowcases. And then I got to thinking, well, why not make them just a little bit more cutesy? So I decided to make a pillowcase with a ruffled edge. So I was looking for some fabric, and I finally found some fabric, and I brought it home, and I was so excited to get started sewing, because I haven't sewed in a really long time, and I love sewing. It's one of my favorite things to do. But life gets in the way, and I don't get to do it as much as I want to. So I was pretty excited, and I came up with this pillowcase. It's basically just a regular old standard size pillowcase, but it's got a nice little 3-inch ruffle at the end. And I just love it so much. The fabric itself is a white background with like a black stripe, but the stripe is like this little chain of flowers. I don't know if you'll be able to see that very well, but I was very excited about that. I just thought it was super cute because I was looking for a black and white stripe, which I could not find anywhere, but this is even better than a black and white stripe. So I was so excited. So I had so much fun making these that I decided to go ahead and make a set of white ones also. Now these, you can see, have a much larger ruffle than my other ones. The black and white ones have a 3-inch ruffle, and the white ones have a 6-inch ruffle. The only reason why that happened is I didn't pick up enough of this fabric to make the ruffle as long as I wanted, which is what I wanted, a 6-inch ruffle. But anyways, I got it with the little white pillowcases instead, and I'm so happy with these. I cannot wait to get them on my bed. But first, let's show you how I made them. First step is to cut 3 pieces of fabric. Cut the first piece of fabric 30 inches long by 42 inches wide. Then cut 2 pieces of fabric 22 inches long by 6 inches wide. Set aside the 2 smaller pieces of fabric and lay out the large piece of fabric on a flat surface. Fold the fabric in half widthwise, making sure the right sides of the fabric are together, and next pin the fabric together along both the long side and one short side. You'll then have 2 sides of the fabric pinned together and one side of the fabric is folded. The next step is to sew a seam along the 2 pinned sides of the fabric. Next, you're going to want to finish the raw edges along the 2 seams you just sewed by sewing along the edges with a zigzag stitch. When you're done, it should look like this: seam on the top and zigzag along the edge. Next, turn your fabric right side out and you'll have the basic pillowcase shape. At this point, you can finish the remaining raw edge with a simple hem and you'd have yourself a new pillowcase. But if you'd like to add a ruffle, keep watching and I'll show you how to do it. To make the ruffle, start by layering the 2 pieces of fabric right sides together. Pin the layers together along one of the short sides and then sew a seam along that edge. This gives us a nice long narrow strip of fabric to make a ruffle with. Next, lay the fabric out flat, wrong side up, and then fold in half, matching the raw edges. Pin the layers together along the whole bottom raw edge. Along this edge, sew a basting stitch the length of the fabric about 1/4 inch in from the edge of the fabric. The basting stitch should look like this when you're done. The next step I like to take is to find the middle of the ruffle and mark it with a pin. This helps me make the ruffle in 2 shorter sections instead of 1 long section. I'll first work from the right side towards the middle and then from the left. To begin ruffling, locate the 2 strings at the edge of the fabric. Take the top string and wrap it around your index finger. Pinch the fabric edge with your opposite hand and gently pull the string a little. This should give you a small ruffle. Now pinch the fabric with your right hand and with your left hand very gently smooth the ruffle towards the middle of the fabric. Repeat the sequence of pulling the thread and smoothing it out towards the middle over and over in small sections. Eventually, you'll see a ruffle begin to take shape. Once you have most of the first side ruffled, lay it out alongside the pillowcase to determine how long you need to make the ruffle. Here you can see I need to ruffle another couple inches to make it fit. I also want to make sure to leave about 1/2 inch along the edge for a seam allowance. Once the ruffle matches the pillowcase, it should look like this. You can see the extra at the end for the seam allowance. As you can see here, I have half of the ruffle completed and the other half still needs to be done. This is where I like to flip the ruffle over so that I can work from right side to left when forming the ruffle. Once you have ruffled the whole length of the fabric and it correctly fits the pillowcase, take the 2 raw edges together, pin them, and then sew them together. This gives us a ruffled circle. Now it's time to attach the ruffle to the pillowcase itself. Start by making sure the wrong side of the ruffle is facing up, then slip the ruffle over the edge of the pillowcase and lay it nice and flat. Adjust your ruffle so that your hemmed edge lays along one side seam of the pillowcase and your pinned middle marker along the other side seam. Next, start pinning the ruffle to the pillowcase by lining up both raw edges and pinning the 2 layers together. Work your way along the fabric, pinning every inch or so until you reach the other side seam. When you reach the side seam, stop pinning and return to your starting point. From there, start pinning the layers together the opposite way around the pillowcase. I like to leave the area around the ruffle seam until last because most of the time I'll need a little extra maneuvering to make it fit nicely. Once the ruffle has been completely pinned onto the pillowcase, it should look a little like this. We are now ready to begin sewing the ruffle on. We'll sew the ruffle on right below the old basting stitch. Use the old basting line as a guide to follow and sew a new seam about 1/4 of an inch or smaller away from it. Take your time sewing on the ruffle. As you slowly move along, you can adjust the ruffles to lay nicely before you sew them on. When it's finished, it should look a little like this. Next, it's a good idea to finish this raw edge with a zigzag stitch. After adding the zigzag stitch, the seam should be looking like this. At this point, your pillowcase is complete. However, I like to add one more finishing touch to ensure that the ruffled edge seam lays nice and flat. To do this, from the right side of the pillowcase, I run a stitch along the ruffle's edge. Here's what it looks like when I'm done. I think it's a nice finishing touch. So there you go, a fancy new pillowcase with a ruffled edge. I love it. I am very much enjoying the look of my new pillowcases. It's amazing to me how simply switching up a humble pillowcase can have such a dramatic effect on space. Thanks so much for stopping by today, and if you'd like this video and would like to see more projects like this in the future, please leave a comment below or give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye now.